if you can explain for people who maybe don't know the depth, what's the difference between, hey, I've got a T1, hey, I've got a coax, regular internet
Sure.
like at my house,
Sure.
hey, I've got a fiber pipe.
So, the internet started off just running through telephone lines and became a dial-up. And it was, everybody remembers the old squeal of getting connected and waiting for that to stop running, and you go, okay, I'm ready to go, and I can send an email, or I can play Oregon Trail, or whatever that ended up being.
AOL Online.
So they ended up taking that, and they turned that into what were the big deal at the time for businesses that needed that became T1s that were basically, in essence, telephone lines kind of bonded together, and they were able to create a really, really fast 1.5 meg by 1.5 meg internet connection for these businesses that needed it, and they were really doing something.
So if I've got a T1, I'm up to the late 90s?
No, if you've got a T1, you're up to 95, 96, maybe 98 if you're really doing something. And at that point in time, you were probably paying somewhere around $800 or $900 a month for a 1.5 by 1.5 connection. Then they did some more technology with the phone lines and came up with the DSL for the more home user and the small business user, because people just couldn't afford what that was. Then they started doing bonded T1s that gave you a big 3x3 connection that was really pushing some data. And then they went to copper, which was they figured out to run internet over coax lines, just that people were using for their cable TV.
What's the benefit and drawback of those?
So the benefit of basically your coax internet connection is it's inexpensive. It's really fast download speeds, okay upload speeds, but your cost is right. It's a great small business application if you don't have to worry about packet loss or any sort of really detailed stuff of what you're transferring in your file data. But the drawback to those is copper is very susceptible to weather. It's very susceptible to heat and cold, and it's very susceptible to getting cut because it's not buried very deep in the ground, or it hangs on your telephone poles and tends to get beat up a little bit. So it's a great product if you don't have to be connected all of the time.
Okay.
And then your best of your best right now is basically having your dedicated fiber and your dedicated fiber line that runs on glass. It's not affected by weather. It's not affected by temperature. It is symmetrical data. It is, in essence, guaranteed data back and forth to wherever you need it to go. Unless something drastic happens, somebody takes down a telephone pole, somebody digs in the ground 20, 30 inches where they're not supposed to. Those things are unusual, but that's just part of having to be on the internet, and the internet isn't just magic. It actually runs on lines, running underground, running on telephone lines all over the world.
And if somebody wants to know more about the difference between shared fiber, dedicated fiber, dark fiber, call Jay. We're not going to get that super deep into that today.
Yep.